Hi guys, it's Kate. My entire journey I've been taking little video clips of throughout my entire pre-op. So today I was trying to edit them together and I realized that I can't. So there goes that. So I'm just going to kind of in two separate parts, going with my original plan, two separate parts. I'm going to try my best to remember everything about my entire pre-op experience without kind of forgetting anything, because unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to edit those together, and I do want to share all of that stuff with you guys. So, I had my consultation on June 20th with Dr. Pasquarello at Ocean Medical Center, Brick Township, New Jersey. So I had that. I had the consultation, and then my first pre-op appointment was with the nutritionist. So that was a pretty simple appointment. She kind of asked me about my eating habits and what I would typically eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, snacks, so on and so forth. I'm a vegetarian, so we did talk a lot about that and protein after surgery. So, and then my second appointment was with the gastroenterologist. The initial appointment was really quick. It was nothing, and then I had to schedule a upper endoscopy to make sure everything's good with my stomach. So I scheduled that, and while I was waiting on that appointment was the initial appointment was June 28th, and the endoscopy was July 6th. So while I was waiting to get my endoscopy, I had my initial visit with the cardiologist. I went in, had an EKG, which was normal, but they still wanted me to do, a stress test and an echo, which is good, make sure everything's good with my heart. So I scheduled that. That was on the appointment with the cardiologist was June 29th, and then the stress test and echo I scheduled for July 28th. So then I went and I had my upper endoscopy. They found that I had quite a bit of excess acid, which was fine. They still approved me for surgery and stuff, but that was just something to think about, even though I have no symptoms of having excess acid. I never have acid reflux. I never feel a burning sensation in my esophagus. I never feel I have heartburn. I never feel the need to eat Tums or whatever. So it wasn't really affecting my life. I never even knew I had it. So that was just something to think about after surgery. So I had that done. And then I had the appointment with the psychologist on July 11th. This was the longest appointment I had. So I'm going to kind of go into more detail about this, and this is why it's getting split into two parts, because I have a lot to talk about in this video, and then the next video I have a lot to talk about with another appointment. So this appointment was way longer than I was expecting it to be. I thought, you go in, you talk to the doctor, they ask you some questions. I figured no longer than an hour. Typical psychiatrist appointment or psychologist appointment. No longer than an hour. It was 3 hours long. And I don't know if everyone has this experience. This was my experience. But it was 3 hours long. But yeah, so I went in and 20 minutes early to fill out my paperwork. So I filled that out, and then they gave me the first questionnaire, which was a 25 question eating disorder questionnaire. Like, do you binge eat? Do you, have, questions along the lines of, do you feel out of control when you eat food? Do you feel yourself continue to eat long after you feel full? Do you feel the need to cut your calories based on what you see in the mirror? So it's just like a basic eating disorder questionnaire. And then so I filled all that out, whatever, waiting in the waiting room, thinking, okay, whatever, I'll go see the doctor now. No. So they call me back, and I go into this room with a computer, and they go, okay, you're going to fill out this first test, which is 325 questions. Okay. So the first one was more, it was very, eclectic. It was, not only more, eating disorder questions, but also, do you feel suicidal? Do you feel the need to harm yourself? Which I completely understand because, after surgery, it's a lot. A lot, it's a lot of risk, and you might get very emotional, so if you already had suicidal feelings, I could understand. I have pretty bad depression and anxiety, so I was very worried about this appointment. I was very anxious, so I'm sitting there filling out this questionnaire, and I'm like, what am I doing? They're not going to approve me because my depression and my anxiety and whatever. So I fill out the first test, which is 325 questions. So then I'm like, okay, definitely this time I'm going to go see the doctor. No. There's another test that is 150 questions that you have to fill out. So I'm taking that one. It's kind of along the same lines, but these questions are a little more triggering, I guess. If you did have those problems, they would probably trigger you. But I don't. No. I filled out the rest of the questions as honestly as I could. And so I'm done with that. I think I'm definitely going to get to go see the doctor now. No. Back out into the waiting room. Now, my appointment was at 1, and I had work at 4. I was, fairly certain that, this appointment was going to be no more than an hour. I didn't think it was going to be that long. So, I'm sitting in the waiting room for the doctor, and, it's, 3:25. So, I'm starting to get, really anxious, so I go up to the desk, and I'm like, hey, so, do you think I'm going to get to go see the doctor soon? And they're like, yeah, you know. I was like, because I have work at 4. And they're like, oh, we'll go get the doctor for you. So apparently the doctor was on break this whole time. Which, I don't know. I was a little angry at the time, but it was fine. So I went and I saw the doctor, and 15 minutes I talked to her. She asked me, if I was aware what the surgery was, and I said yes. I know that it's a laparoscopic surgery. They remove about 80% of your stomach, including the ghrelin, something like that, hormone, which controls your feeling of hunger. I know that, there are risks with the surgery, as with any other surgery, which is obviously the, number one risk is that you can die. You can die with any surgery. I'm fully aware of that. I know that you could also have a leak, which is the other top complication with the surgery, which is when there comes a hole in the staple line and the contents of your stomach can leak into your abdomen. So I, told her all of that, and she looked at me and she goes, okay, you're approved. I was like, is it that easy? I was so anxious about this appointment, and she looked at me and was like, you passed with flying colors. She's like, you're clearly aware of what the surgery entails, what the risks are. I'm not worried. So, after all of that anxiety over that appointment, I passed with flying colors. Oh, I have, too many things to touch on the run. I'm sorry. But yeah, after all of that, anxiety going into this appointment that I wasn't going to pass and that I wasn't going to be able to have surgery, I passed no problem. So, that was kind of the most of what I wanted to talk about with the first part of my pre-op, because to me, the psychologist appointment was the most, anxiety ridden. But, yeah, so that was part 1. And I'm gonna look exactly the same in part 2 because I'm recording it right now. Okay, so see you guys in that video.